Hi there, welcome to the Raven's Call. I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Gothi of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas, and I am your host. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, just kind of whatever strikes my fancy or comes to my mind at the time, whatever sets my mind on fire, as it were. And those of you that have been watching for a while know that I cover a broad spectrum of aspects of heathenry because I'm constantly thinking about things from the heathen worldview, heathen mentality, and my particular view. Keep in mind in watching all of my videos, this is just simply how I see the world, and it is meant to be taken as just that. Just my interpretation, and use it to build your own, jumping off point, starting point for some research, whatever. I am not telling you to believe the way I do. I'm telling you that this is how I believe, and so believe what you will. Now, before we get started, I want to hit some housekeeping stuff real quick, okay? If you like the videos, if you like what you see, please hit subscribe down below, ding the bell, and give the video a thumbs up. Please, guys, the likes help a lot. The more likes I get, the more I end up in front of other people that might find the videos beneficial. I'm finding some of the videos that I have had out for a while start to pick up a head of steam as they end up in front of people and the likes build. At first, they don't get out to very much because they don't have that many likes. The like ratio is important. So if you guys want this stuff to end up in front of other people, interact with, give it the thumbs up, give me comments on the sections below, things like that. Interact with the videos so that the videos can end up in front of those that might be interested in them. I know not everybody's going to be, but there are some out there that might find them interesting, and the thumbs up helps. So, also, if you want to contact me for any particular reason, down below in the description you will find my Gmail, my Facebook, my Saraha, my Twitter, which is laughable at best. So please contact me there if you've got any questions. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Things do get kind of crazy for me around here at work between winter nights and Yule. Just kind of crazy because it's a very, very difficult time of year when you work in childcare. They take care of CPS kids in emergency shelters. So in so doing, it gets pretty hectic around this time of year. And so we need to, I like this, I'm filming 3 weeks ahead just so that I can get it out there. That being said, it may take me a little bit to get back to some of the interactions, but I will. Just give me some time, okay? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's subject. Now, at the time of this filming, because I know this is going to be late in November by the time this comes out, we'll be well on to what is Thanksgiving in the U.S. and starting to look into Yule and things like that. But I see the thinning of the veil between the time of winter nights and Yule as a perfect time to handle some of these particular subjects. Now, after this, I'm hoping to kick off my rune stuff, so we're going to see how that goes. Now, on to the subject of the day. I know at the time that this goes out, it's going to be in late November, on to what we in America call Thanksgiving. This is post-winter nights, but pre-Yule. And during this time of year, the veil thins. And so I like to delve off into some of the more magical, esoteric kind of things during this time of year because it just feels a little closer to the surface. This is when our ancestors are closer to us, and spiritual workings seem to have just a little bit more punch. So I was walking along listening to a song, and the title of the song is I Put a Hex on You. I can't remember who the artist is. It's off my Devil Doll Pandora station. It's kind of a southern rocky, swingy kind of thing. Cool station. I dig it. But anyway, the song was I Put a Hex on You, and the thought crossed my mind, Eric, what do you think about hexes within a heathen point of view? How do you feel about curses and things like that? Because normally those kind of things are written off as superstition. But I don't write off magical aspects as superstition. I actually very much believe in the magical side of things. I just look at them a little bit differently than some other people do as far as manipulations of weird and the like. So what is a hex or a curse? And do I believe on it? Do I believe in it? Is there a place for it in heathenry? And the thought crossed my mind that yes, I do. I do believe in these things. And why? Why do I believe in these things? Because again, I always come back to the why. And then down the rabbit hole I went. And it was quite a lively discussion within my own head. And so I thought, okay, let me put this out there for people and see what they think. Because maybe some of you will see the way I do. Some of you may not. I don't know. We'll see. Because A hex or curse is a magical working that's done in order to put bad juju, for lack of a better term, onto an individual, usually for vengeful purposes or to cast out someone who is toxic or ill, or just genuinely to wreak havoc on someone's life for ill purposes. There's a number of ways that they can come about, but essentially it's a magical working meant to do ill to another. And so not something I like to get into, not something I have a whole lot of purposes for, but something that merits some thought in why does it do what it does, and therefore how does it impact other magical workings and play into the whole metaphysical spectrum of things. Because I simply see magic as utilizing the science of metaphysics to redirect energies into desired effects within the profane world. I do separate magic from religion. The magical aspects occur here in the profane world, whereas the religious are specifically about our interactions between the profane world and the sacred world, between Midgard and Asgard with the gods and goddesses. Magic is more about manipulating the world around you, the energies at play around you. And so I see this largely being interactions with spiritual elements. And in so thinking, I thought, well, okay, well, what's the why on a hex? Why does it do what it does? And I got to thinking about what hexes do, and effectively they turn fate against people, turn luck against people, turn weird against people. And I got to thinking, what if hexes, in and of themselves, as spells or rituals, cut someone off from their luck? Is it possible? I mean, if you look at the sagas, there's plenty of curses, hexes, kind of things that go along. Egil Skallagrimsson in Egil's saga builds what's called a Nidstang, which is a pole that was coated in runes that gave a specific purpose. The land whites of this land will, not know peace until this person is driven from the land. And you can go back and read it for the details, but it's really cool. And he points this staff with a horse's head on top at this area and says, "You will know no peace till he's gone." Thusly cursing not the individual, but the land whites. Curses the land whites, so the land whites will then drive him out. An interesting point, an interesting choice there. It's interesting that he chose the indirect route as opposed to the direct route on that particular aspect. He could have just cursed the individual himself, but in that he did not know his exact location, it seemed better to do a broad spectrum shotgun kind of thing and let the Vatir take care of the business themselves. I've thought a lot on that particular aspect, but essentially he cuts the Vatir off from their luck, and in order for them to get it back, they have to drive this guy out. So if there are other, you look at the Finnish sorceresses and sorcerers that come up in there, and the weird kind of magics that they work, a lot of them do kind of lean this way. Most of the magics seem to be manipulating energies so that bad things happen to other people. And that all kind of, not all of it, but a lot of it tends to fall under the concept of what would be a curse or a hex. And, not our terminology, but conceptually similar, because when you're dealing with metaphysics, the metaphysics are the same. Slow down, Eric. The metaphysics are the same across all of Midgard. The way that we may go about utilizing the techniques may differ, but essentially we're all doing the same thing as far as manipulating the energies of Midgard, what the gods have given us, to reach a certain effect. And so while the trappings may differ, I think a lot of the core elements of what's going on are still the same, even though other faiths, religions, cultures may not necessarily recognize that's what they're doing. They just know they do this and it puts bad juju on somebody, whereas we may have a deeper understanding of what's actually going on within relation to weird and luck. So, in my previous video, Nature of Sacrifice, I talk about possible futures, that quantumness of future, the fact that there's projected possible paths, the realm of Skuld, and that for Vertandi, the now, where we are here and now, informed by our Orlog from Urd, we have projected paths that we could go, and our actions in the here and now kind of pick which of these paths we will end up continuing our vector along. It's like we have a vector that's going along, and our actions in the here and now tell kind of where along that vector we might veer off. So doing those kind of workings in the here and now to affect someone else's weird, the patterns of their life in the moment, to throw an extra monkey wrench into the gears so that things go off course from the path that they desire. In looking at the Fylgja, okay, I'm going to come back to all this. In looking at the Fylgja is said to be the keeper of the familial luck for an individual, that they dole out the luck of the family to the individual in their life, and that the Fylgja can turn away from someone. It can take away the family luck and leave them luckless, and then that person ends up in dire straits because they are without luck. So the Fylgja is a spirit animal, a spirit entity that travels along with us. All right. So if we look at some of the old traditions with regards to the dragon heads on the bows of ships, they weren't allowed to come into certain ports with the dragon prow still on the ship because it might offend or scare away the Vatir of the land, thusly bringing bad luck to the land itself. Because you scare away the Vatir of the land, it may scare away they'll take with them the beneficial energies that they bring to the land, and the land may go barren. So it's bad luck to bring it in, because you will bring bad luck to that place. You will chase away all the good luck of the Vatir, and so the place may go barren and they may suffer as a result. So if the dragon heads scare away the Vatir of the land and thusly remove their blessings from that land, could not something through ritual similarly turn away the Fylgja and thusly cut a person off from their luck? They are still a spirit animal. Now, the nature of that thing would have to be fairly specific, because the relationship, free-running Vatir in an area, it's not that much for them to distance themselves from a space, because they'll just simply migrate to another, as it were. There's still strong connections, so they're going to waft back as the dangerous thing leaves. It's just the natural way of things to vacate when something dangerous enters the area. Get away from it and you're not in harm's way. So, if that's the case, could something be created then that, through ritual purposes, scares away the Fylgja? It would have to be a lot more powerful, because that tie is closer than it would be with, like, say, the Vatir, the Long Vatir. You're looking at the Fylgja, which is tied specifically to the soul, which, in indications in the lore are that it can turn away from you. It can not dole out luck to you, and it can turn its back on you. You're probably not going to last long beyond that, because you are luckless at that point, and you will end up destitute and starving, most likely. But it is possible, I think, through these magical workings, to scare away the Fylgja and thusly cut a person off from their luck. Similarly, you can, I think, through ritual purposes, throw that monkey wrench into the workings of weird in the here and now that will just simply veer a person off of their projected course. You may not necessarily have control over what it specifically does, but if you've got a machine that's chugging along on this route, you got a locomotive chugging along on this way, and then you chunk something into the workings, it's either going to come to a grinding halt and go off the tracks, or have some other effect that's not part of the projected path. You're going to interrupt the flow in such a way that it'll still end up maybe near where it was going, but not exactly. Or it may take a completely left turn because you switched a road sign somewhere along the way. It's interesting to me because I see the use of like a hex or a curse as being a manipulation of weird and luck specifically. That's where I see these magical elements interacting. And I know I've lost a lot of people by this point in time because I'm just sitting here rambling on about magical, metaphysical elements. But these are my mind fires, so take it or leave it, whatever. Similarly speaking, the counteractions to curses and hexes would be something that overcomes whatever the mechanic at play is. They're putting a mechanism into play that ultimately has an effect. Like if you look at the Neathstang again, the Neathstang had a timer on it, basically, that said, when this condition is met, the curse will end and the Vatir will know peace again. So effectively it means when this guy is gone, I'll take the Neathstang down, and as part of the contract, I'll take it down and you guys won't have this disturbing presence anymore. Things will go back to normal. All you got to do is get rid of him. Similarly, there may be some kind of mechanism put into a hex or a curse where something has to be overcome in order to lift the curse, quote unquote. What it really is working around that so that you can get back on track, weird-wise. Similarly, you may be able to do some things to counteract or to, negate the effects of it, especially if it's something such as scaring away the Fylgja. If you can do something that either blocks that, destroys that mechanism, or in some other way entices and protects the Fylgja and encourages it to come back, you can then reap the benefits of the luck and counteract the curse. Those are particularly difficult curses in my mind to overcome, because if you do get cut off from your luck with the Fylgja, then you have a much harder time putting energy to work in such a way that you will overcome this curse, this hex. It's much more difficult to have a successful venture in that respect. It's not impossible, but much, much more difficult. So the reason that I come to all of this is because it brings to mind my contemplations on the workings of magic. When you're talking about things such as magical workings, a lot of people will just write them off as superstition. I do not, because, as I've just illustrated to you, I think about them in terms of heathen worldview. I think about them in terms of, metaphysical elements at play, weird, orlog, luck, these kind of things. Magical workings in general, you've got your orlog, all that has come before, that informs your vector for your here and now, the realm of Verdandi, and then you splinter off into one of these possible futures for Skuld. Magics in and of themselves are utilizing the unseen energies of Midgard to manipulate other energies at play in the here and now, to help influence the outcome of which track on this vector you end up on. So I'm not looking at magics like making something levitate or things like that. That's a different kind of thing, but kind of some gentle nudgings of weird to turn things one way or the other. This is the kind of magic that I tended to see in the lore, that I see more represented in the folklore and things like that. Good luck charms that help to put you on a more beneficial path. Something that serves as a store of additional luck that feeds into your familial luck, that feeds into your own personal store of built luck over time. These kind of luck charms are the same kind of thing. A hex or a curse, dealing with kind of a bad luck charm, that thing that scares your luck away. Do away with this thing, and all of a sudden. So, I think about the magical practices, and I think about these things in these terms from a heathen standpoint, but it also comes to mind that other traditions, other practices, other religions might be very effective in their use of these particular practices, simply because the metaphysics at play are still the same. Someone from a Santeria background or from a hoodoo background might have some really wicked stuff going on that does exactly this because it's been honed to do this. And the kind of energies that are at play in those, especially the kind of the hoodoo side of things, may carry a very aggressive, very dark, very scary kind of energy to them that would be particularly effective in driving away a person's philia or other, impacts on their luck and weird. So, so I'm just rambling here at this point on that. But safe to say that, it's probably not a good idea to take somebody off who has background in this, legitimate background. And I'm not talking like New Age, I read it in a book kind of thing. I'm talking about somebody who actually knows a thing or two about spirits and how to tap into that world. Those I would take a little bit more seriously than if I was dealing with an individual that, seemed to have read a, Llewellyn Press book and thought they could suddenly do a hex on me. It's like, no. You don't know what you're doing. You're not reaping the benefit that you're looking for because you don't actually understand the metaphysics at play. Although some of them might, gifted individuals that do understand the basics. At that point, we begin to think about things in counteraction and in ways of looking at that. So, you guys have said before you wanted more woo-woo stuff from me, in addition to all of the cultural elements and things like that, the religious elements. So we're about to get off into the runes here in the near future. And so I wanted to handle something that was truly just kind of a sidetrack thought in my head. This is literally how my brain works, guys. I will be trucking along, a song will come on, and I will go, what do I think about that? And then all of a sudden, hours later, I've got an entirely built understanding of this particular aspect of either the metaphysics, the religious, the whatever. Whatever avenue I've gone down, I've gone deep down that rabbit hole. And so I spent quite some time thinking about this particular subject. And it was fun. It was kind of interesting. I'm going to go back and do some more reading back through the sagas and look at some of the troll wives. Troll wives more from the folklore side of things, but I will be reading those too because I need to get caught up on my weaving words stuff. Do some more of that. But I intend to go back and reread some in the sagas and see if I can't pull out some of those like Finnish sorcerers and whatnot and see what practices they had, because there's some specific things they did, such as the looking between their legs, which, if you're not familiar with the concept of doorways, gateways, as far as in between places, it goes back to that concept of permeable membrane that I talked about in my video way back when. That's such an important aspect on elements of magic and religion and ritual and all of that. Permeable membranes are extremely important, and it creates an archway, it creates a gateway that they can then look through. So like they're looking at you from beyond the veil, perhaps they are looking beyond the veil and thusly interpreting or interacting with spirits. It's hard to say, because some of it may have just been meant for comical purposes to make the sorcerers look ridiculous by, the more Christian authors that were actually writing a lot of this down. But there's a lot of commonalities between them that indicates either they all had a similar influence on how they saw it, or what we were seeing is actually some representation of perhaps some actual practices, though through a lens of someone that did not fully understand what was going on. So that being said, I'm intrigued by this, and I want to go back and look a little bit more into it. And as I come up with things, I'll toss them up here on the channel if you guys are interested. For all I know, I may get thumbs down bombed for this particular one and lose half my subscribers. We'll see. But as an enticement, I do have the rune thing coming, so that might not be an enticement for some. We'll see. So anyway, guys, thank you for going down this particular rabbit hole with me. I hope it wasn't too rambly or ridiculous. It is going to be a little bit of a shorter video. The last two videos haven't quite hit the 30-minute mark, but they were kind of side mind fires, and so less on the educational side of things and more on just me rambling and spewing my mind fire out for you guys to see what you think, see what you guys kind of insights you have, stuff like that. So We'll see. Next ones should be of indeterminate length, because if I get into the rune stuff immediately, or if I get another idea before then, I'd like to get the rune stuff rolling before Yule. We'll see. I'm also contemplating another video where I explore some of the concepts that I've built up further on Yule Father, as opposed to just the one video that I've done on it before. So maybe a follow-up to my Yule Father video. If any of you made it this far in the video, get on Facebook, get in the comments below, whatever. Let me know what you think about that. Do you guys want to see a follow-up on the Yule Father video? Do you want to see me talk a little bit about how I have grown in my understanding of Yule Father? I mean, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it and get caught up on my basis. But I have really delved down the concept of the Yule Father as an ancestral spirit, and I think it carries a lot of weight. So plus I got to go back and watch that video again myself and make sure that I'm not just being redundant, because I might be. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate everything. You guys are awesome. I love the feedback. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that you guys are watching the channel. As of the time that I record this, I've got a little over 600 subscribers. Now, albeit I know those aren't 600 people that are sitting there watching my stuff. I'd have 600 views on every video if I did that. As is, there's probably about 100 of you that watch with any kind of dedication. It just depends on exactly when y'all come about it. There's a lot of people that will subscribe to the channel and then just because they're like, oh, Heathen guy, that's cool, and then never actually watch the videos. I'm sure there's a number of people that are subscribed to me right now that have yet to watch a single, well, maybe they watched one of my videos. They probably watched like Heathenry 101, because that's got well over 1,000 views. They might have watched that one and then subscribed and then just never come back to it. So to those of you guys that do watch with some regularity, or even just here and there, you know, if this is the one time you've ever watched one of my videos, whatever, thank you guys. You're awesome. I appreciate the support. I wish you guys the best. So thank you, hail, and I hope you have a wonderful day. May your ancestors smile on you.